Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's Work from Home Wednesday webinar. Before we get started officially, we have a couple of housekeeping announcements as usual. The first announcement, you may have noticed that you're in listen-only mode. This is to ensure that there's less background noise so everyone can hear me and our lovely guest speaker today. So, that does not mean that you cannot ask questions. Questions are welcomed at any point during today's presentation. To ask a question, please use the questions button on your GoToWebinar pop-up. I'll be moderating the questions, so I'll be able to see and answer them during any part of today's presentation, and they are welcomed about Fastcase and, of course, about our afternoon partner this afternoon, Clio. So, second housekeeping announcement. Today's session is not for CLE credit. This is an informational webinar, and we hope that you'll get lots of useful information out of it. Fastcase does offer CLE webinars for learning how to conduct legal research. You can see more about those webinars at our support page, fastcase.com/support. Alrighty, so with those two important announcements out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. So today we're going to be covering some of the basics and some of the wonderful integrations and tools that you can use to manage both your research workflow and that ever important practice management workflow. Because it doesn't matter how great your research skills are, if at the end of the day you can't deal with the billing end, that means that you can keep the lights on. So today we have invited a speaker from one of our wonderful partners, Clio. I'm going to let her do the Clio intensive part of it, but before we get to her part of the presentation, I'm just going to cover a couple of background basics. Now, for most of you, this is probably information that you're already familiar with, but I just want to be sure that everyone has the background information, etc., so that they know what we're talking about in reference to Fastcase. So on the screen right now, you're seeing Fastcase 7. Fastcase 7 is our new platform. This is where we're putting the new content, the new features, the new tools. So you're going to get access to wonderful tools that help you conduct legal research faster, better, easier, all of that fun stuff. Clio has been a partner of Fastcase for longer than Fastcase 7 has existed, for many, many years. So it actually integrates with both Fastcase 7, the platform you see on the screen right now, and Fastcase 6, our older platform. And you are, of course, welcome to use the integration in either mode, but I want to show you what it looks like in Fastcase 7 so that you have an opportunity to use the program and are prepared for it, especially when we get ready for our big transition later this year. So from here, this is the screen or the home screen of Fastcase 7. And integrating with Clio is super easy, which I'm very thankful for. At the top right-hand side of the page, you'll see a couple of icons. The center one here, the one that says Apps and Tools, is where you'll see a couple of tools and a couple of partnerships with Fastcase. The second tool down here, Connect to Clio, is how you would integrate your account with Clio. Now, if you are already logged into Clio when you click on this link, it's a smart login and it recognizes that and will simply ask you if you want to connect directly to Clio. If, on the other hand, like me, you're not currently logged into Clio, you'll be prompted to log into Clio so that the integration can take place. Once you've made that connection, so once you've made sure that you're logged into Clio and you've given permission for Clio to integrate or to sync with Fastcase, you'll end up back on the same home page. So I'm just going to take you there now. So you'll end up back on this home page, and you might notice that there's a little change up here in the top corner. Instead of having just these icons, there's one more icon here at the top. This is the first of the two major integrations with Clio. So the first integration with Clio is the Clio timer. So you can use this timer to keep track of how much time you've spent in Fastcase conducting legal research. Using this timer is pretty simple. I'll show you the Fastcase side, and then my lovely colleague will show you the Clio end of it. But all you would have to do is enter your matter number or name. So say that you're working on a particular issue, you've set up a matter in Clio. So you've set up the account in Clio that would be used to keep track of your actions for that particular client. You enter that information here in Fastcase, click on Start Timer, and the system will start keeping track of how much time you've spent in Fastcase on behalf of that client. That simple. Super easy to do. Our second integration, on the other hand, comes into play once you have selected a particular case or a particular primary law document. So let's go ahead and run a fairly general search here. I'm going to go ahead and set my jurisdiction as case law just for this example. So let's, actually, I'm just going to go ahead and run the search. Let's go for it. So here we are on the results page. And once it loads, on the right-hand side, I'll have my current results. And on the left-hand side of the screen, I'll have my active filters. Oh, goodness. And of course, once you end up running a demonstration, that's when the system will go ahead and decide that it wants to have that internet access. My apologies, everyone, that's on my end. But I'll go ahead and get us back to the page we were on. Yeah, that's definitely my internet access. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Nefra. I'll show you the second integration once my internet is back up to speed. But I'll go ahead and introduce my wonderful colleague, Ms. Nefra McDonald, who is my lovely colleague on the Clio side. Nefra, would you like to take it away?
Sure. Thanks so much, Erin. My name is Nefra McDonald. I am the Affinity Programs Manager here at Clio. And I'm going to go ahead and show my screen. So we'll pick up where Erin left off. And today I'm going to be walking you through the Fastcase and Clio integration and also talking about all of the other aspects of case management that you can do within our product, our flagship product, Clio Manage. So a little bit of background on us. We started as the first cloud-based legal practice management software in 2008. We launched at ABA Tech Show. And since then, we've expanded our reach. We serve over 175,000 lawyers worldwide. We are the largest and furthest reaching practice management software on the market, and we continue to innovate. So a lot of you are probably working from home or doing some sort of hybrid of working from home and going into the office a couple days a week, depending on where your state is in the reopening process right now. I'm based in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Right now, we're seeing a surge in cases. So if you're in my state, you're likely doing this remote work thing. So Fastcase and Clio together is a really great part of you being able to stay mobile while capturing all of the critical case information that you need and being able to stay on top of the time, the billing, and the collaboration. The great thing about this integration is that not only are you capturing the time for your research, but you're also saving that research to the matter that it belongs to. So if you're collaborating with others, they can see the research that you've already done in the case law that you've pulled to help with whatever you're working on that their research is relevant to. So we are in Fastcase 7 right now. I already have my Clio integration set up. So I can go ahead and start my Clio timer here. And we're going to do this for the Newton matter. And we'll do it on the dissolution of marriage. We'll start that timer. And if I want to look up contested, I could spell today. Contested adoption. Okay, that sounds good. And we'll click search here. And if we wanted to narrow that down, we'll go ahead and click cases here. Say this is the one that we're looking for. We can go ahead and click that. And then this is the connections button. So we want to share this document and save that document to Clio. So we can save that in the PDF. We'll go ahead and put in the Newton matter. Click it right there. We can add a category to this document as well. We'll go ahead and save it. And then when I navigate back over to Clio, I can go to that Newton matter and go to the dissolution of marriage. And in my documents section, that case will show up. So say I wanted to go ahead and move this document and save it into a research folder. I don't have one that's existing right now, so I go ahead over to the new folder and we'll title this research. Ooh, rename that contested adoption. And we will click update. And then I go over to this document, click move. We go to Ryan Newton here. We're in this one, and then we have research contested adoption. We click move, and it's now a part of this folder. So all of our research that we save here can be put into this matter. So once we have it in this matter, if we don't have the time associated with it, we can add the time here, or we can go back over to Fastcase and stop this timer. And that's also going to be saved to this Newton matter. So we can go to activities here and we'll see the latest time entry here. We can go edit that and type in research on contested adoption. Okay, and we can save this time entry, just verify that the time is accurate. Say we really spent an hour on that, we can modify that time here. If we want to bill it to another user, we can select that from the dropdown. If you have another rate for research, if you've negotiated a lower rate for research, or if it's something that you just track for timekeeping purposes, but don't bill to the client, you can also select this non-billable button here. But in the event that you are charging the client for research, you can go ahead and keep it as billable and save this entry. And now it's updated here. We also have a previous research that we did here on a child custody exemption. So that is all saved within Clio. So when it's time to run your bills, it's all here and ready for you. And as you work and you bill as you work, you're less likely to forget the things that you've done for a particular matter, and you'll have an increased chance of a more accurate bill. So Erin, that's the basics of the Fastcase integration. I wanted to see if there are any questions coming in or if there are any particular features that the audience wants me to go into as far as the Clio side of it goes, or if there's anything I'm missing on the Fastcase Clio integration.
Those are the initial basics. We don't have any direct questions, but we did have a question related to something that you said just a moment ago, which is, can you tell more about how Clio would allow you to share information directly between different users in Clio? So I guess you would call that a Clio question, but let's go ahead and hear a little bit more about that if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. So any matter that you create within Clio can be shared with all of the users at the firm or certain users at the firm. But one great thing that we have here is a Teams integration. So with Microsoft Teams, you can create a team that works on a particular matter, and it'll create that team within Microsoft Teams. So there's the ability to create a team with your firm on this matter, and they'll also be able to see the latest things that are done within this matter. The good thing about any activity that you do in Clio is that it's logged on a timeline based on the matter that you're working on. So I can see that the last 2 things that I've done here was updating the time entry for that research. I moved an item into a folder, created a time entry, updated a time entry. So you'll see like all of the latest work that I've done on this matter. And when you're collaborating with others, you can see the things that they've done in this matter as well on this timeline. The other places that you can take a look at what's been done on the matter is the activity section. So this is any time and expenses that you log against a matter, and you'll be able to see here who's worked on something, what the rate was, whether it was billable or non-billable, and whether it's been invoiced yet. So all of these activities up until these last 2 have been billed to the client, and you can see which invoice those time entries belong to as well. The other thing that you can take a look at is communications. So this is a great way to collaborate with others because you might be having separate conversations with a client, with opposing counsel, with judges, etc. So this is a place to log all of those things, emails and phone calls. So we do have integrations with Gmail and with Outlook so that you can send your emails and their attachments directly into Clio Manage, and all of those are logged here. So this is a great way to not keep information siloed in your inbox or having to CC a bunch of people, but rather keeps a really great chain of information on, you know, what's happening in the matter and the correspondence back and forth between various parties. The notes section is also a great place to do that. So if you're looking for the latest notes transcribed from a meeting with client, you can do that. And you can also, with all of these activities, whether it's a phone call, an email, transcribing notes from a meeting, a deposition, all of that can be added to your logs in Clio and then adding time to it. And the same thing goes for documents. You can see the latest documents that have been created. And you can also sort them by like the last edit, who the author was, received date, all of that good stuff. The other thing is if you're looking to keep your case files digital right now, like say there's one person going into the office to collect mail right now, we do have an integration with ScanSnap. So any mail that comes in related to a matter can be scanned directly from ScanSnap into Clio and labeled and filed away in their respective matters so that everyone can see the written correspondence that's coming in. And it's a good way to get those paper case files digital during this time too. So if there are matters that you're actively working on that you're having to use a courier or drop off a banker's box on your colleague's doorstep, which I've heard some people doing, or taking shifts going into the office to be able to access those physical files, it might be a good time to start digitizing and making available those documents via Clio instead, because we do have unlimited document storage and it's an easy way to collaborate. The other great thing about this is that you can share these documents with people outside of your law office. So meaning if your client wants access to their case, you can set up the Clio Connect portal where they'll have access to any documents that you share. If you create a shared resources folder, anything that you put in that folder, the client will have visibility into. So if they're obsessing at 11 p.m. or 2 a.m. about their case and they want to know the latest, it's a great place for them to go obsess without calling you or sending you an email. So keeping that up to date is great as well. But it's also available to you to share with contract counsel or opposing counsel if you want to set that up to be able to share and exchange documents. It's a great way to do that as well. And essentially what happens is when you set this up for sharing or add a new item to the Clio Connect portal, the recipient will get not only an email to set up that account, but anytime after that, whenever something new is added, they get an email notification saying a new document's been added to your Clio portal and a link to sign into that to be able to view what that is. The email is not going to reveal that information. So it's a great way to share information that's sensitive or secure, anything containing personally identifiable information like social security numbers or medical information or anything super private like financial records. Those things can be shared from you, and the client can upload to that portal as well to share documents with you. So it's great in this, you know, virtual paperless environment that we've kind of been forced into in the past couple of months.
Perfect. We did have a request from the audience if you wouldn't mind increasing the zoom a little bit on your panel to make it a little bit more visible. So while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and read our next question, which was a little bit more about the integration. So you just mentioned an integration with ScanSnap so that you can scan documents directly into Clio. One of the other integrations I believe you have is with a couple of other entities such as Zoom and other conferencing type options. Can you speak to a little bit about some of those integrations, what some of the ones that might be most useful for a party to use during this time of separation and isolation?
Absolutely. So we do have a Zoom integration. So all that's needed for that is your existing Zoom account. The free version of Zoom allows you to have meetings for up to 40 minutes. And the paid version will let you invite multiple people and have more minutes and also have breakout rooms, access to advanced security features. So we always recommend going with the paid version. But if you even have the free version of Zoom and you want to have a consult via video, you can do that directly from Clio. So for example, I set up this consult with a potential new client, you can tie it back to the matter here and add a Zoom link so that the client knows how to join. So I will go ahead and create one here, and we'll do client update meeting. And we will go ahead and make this a Zoom meeting. We'll type in the matter name. And we can add a reminder. We can remind me via email or via pop-up or other users at the firm. So I'll keep it via email 10 minutes before. And we can remind, let's see, Ryan Newton, that's the client, and I'll remind him 10 minutes before as well. We can add a description to this. Latest updates on adoption matter. And we can also find other firm users or contacts to invite. And Ryan is one of the suggested contacts. See how intelligent the system is. So it knows that it's his matter. So he likely will need to be on this call. And because I've checked this, the video conferencing link will be made available once this pops up on his calendar. And we go ahead and save the event and send a notification to the client. And it's as simple as that. We also integrate with a legal specific video conferencing platform called Legaler. And their platform is designed specifically for the use case of lawyers. So if you are a mediator and you've decided to take your mediations online, it's a great tool to use, although Zoom is something that you can definitely use in a secure way. As long as you're enabling the right security features, you can do breakout rooms so that they can be privileged conversations between clients and their attorneys. So it's the possibilities are endless, but we do have those two main integrations for video conferencing. And if you're curious about any of our integrations, you can head over to our app directory. This is our listing for Fastcase that will break down what the integration does and show you some screenshots of how to do that. And then you can also go ahead and search here. So if I wanted to search for video conferencing, for example.
The internet's being slow for everybody, no worries.
Okay, so we've got Zoom that comes up here. We can look up Legaler. And that's right here as well. So you can take a look at any of those integrations. But if you wanted to look up something specific for your area of law, for example, if you want to look up bankruptcy, if I could spell. So you'll see that we integrate with Jubilee, Courtracks, Next Chapter, and Case Mail. So you can learn more about any of our integrations here. You wanted to learn more about the ScanSnap integration that I mentioned. You can see ScanSnap by Fujitsu, FasterScan, or Xerox, depending on what you're using. But look up all of these integrations here. We have over 200 plus integrations, which is something, again, that differentiates us from the rest of the market. And that app ecosystem is continuing to grow, and we're actively recruiting new and exciting partners to help you streamline the way that you work.
Perfect. We do have a follow-up question regarding the Zoom integration, so I just want to go ahead and sneak that in now. So the system automatically popped up the client as one of the people that might need to be notified of that particular meeting. Are the only people that you can invite for those Zoom meetings people who you've already entered their contact information into Clio, or can you add somebody on the spot?
So you would need to find a firm user or contact. So that contact would need to exist in Clio with an active email address for you to be able to add them to the invite and notify them. So adding a contact is pretty easy in Clio. You just go to create new contact, and then you can add in the information pretty simply. You don't have to fill in all of these fields, but a first and last name is required, and that email address is going to be really critical to be able to get those invitations out to the correct people. So once that exists here, it's going to be made available to you when you're creating that calendar invitation.
Perfect. Okay. So again, circling back just a little bit, because of course we've got some really great questions here. We have a question about the client portal option that you mentioned, or that Clio portal. The question was, when you share content to that Clio portal, is it shared one item at a time, or is all of the content in a particular matter shared by default? Because sometimes there might be documents that you want to share with a client versus documents that should remain internal, at least for now, as a part of the client matter.
That's a really great question. So when we talk to our users about the best way to set up the Clio Connect portal, it's typically at the beginning of an engagement. And you want to talk to the client about how to access that. And it can be done either through a Zoom conversation and sharing your screen, or over the phone, walking them through how to get to their email, clicking on that, creating their username and password, and going through the portal with them. But what you can do to set that up is you go to the document section, and then you create a new folder. And we would name this folder, there's already one in here titled Shared Resources. We can make this Shared Resources with Ryan Newton, just to be sure you're sharing it with the right person.
It's always a good idea to label your documents in a manner that is very clear and is clear not just to you, but to everyone in your office. I'll go ahead and say that as a practice tip.
Exactly. So when you're ready to share that and create the invite to the portal, you click share, and then you select the contact. So we can start typing in his name, and that'll pull up that contact. Hi, Ryan. This notification will direct you to our shared folder in Clio Connect. I'll be updating this with any new information and filings related to your case. Please upload your financial affidavit and pay stubs to this portal once you have them ready. Okay, and so you'll notify the contacts via email when the folder is shared, and they are going to receive a notification in their email to set this up. You click share, and now that green shared button is there. Now, you have all of these other folders here in your Clio database. Only the items that you add to this folder will be shared with Ryan. Everything else stays private to the firm. So if you want the client to see it, make sure you add it to their shared folder. Otherwise, those documents stay internal to the firm.
Great. And that is a great tip, especially if you're dealing with, as you mentioned, information that has a privacy component to it, such as medical records, financial data. Always great to be able to see and to be able to tell very clearly what is being shared with the client and what isn't being shared with the client. Now, you mentioned these portals can be set up at the beginning of an engagement. One of the other questions we had in the audience was, can you have more than one portal? So say, for example, a portal that's set up to share with a client and perhaps a portal that's set up to share with another entity.
Yep, absolutely. So you would have your shared resources with Ryan Newton. All you would have to do is create another folder, shared resources with opposing counsel or with insurance provider or whatever it happens to be, just to give yourself that clarity. And then you'd be able to share that with that particular person. So all it would take is clicking the share button and adding that contact to that folder, and that's who would be able to access that information in their own portal.
Excellent. All right, so speaking of integrations, one of the questions we have now, does Clio integrate with many of the Microsoft tools? So things such as Teams or Outlook. Can you show a little bit about that type of integration, or is there any recommendations for that type of program?
Sure, yes. So for all of our integrations, you'd be able to search them within the Clio app directory. If you're ever stuck on an integration or how to get something set up, you can go to the Clio Help Center and be able to search any of our articles. So if I wanted to look up our Microsoft Office integration, for example. So there's an Office 365 email add-in overview. I can go there, and it's got a short video here. I can play a little bit of it.
In this video, we will walk through an overview of the Office 365 add-in for Clio Manage.
So that's the voice of our training programs. And so he can walk you through how to do the email add-in workflow for Clio. There are also a bunch of other videos. So if I go back to the Clio Help Center, we can look at the Clio add-in for Microsoft Outlook. That's a really popular one. Clio and QuickBooks Online, another very popular one as well. I can go to the Getting Started with Clio. I can either sign up for a training webinar, or I can go to the Clio Manage training videos. And it's basically like a Netflix style library of videos on all of the different ways that you can set up your Clio profile, how to create a contact, time and expenses, billing. So it breaks those down into videos that are a couple minutes long, and it'll just take you through that workflow so you can see it and be able to navigate the product as well. But as far as specific integrations with Microsoft products, we have Microsoft Teams, Microsoft Outlook. So that would be the calendar and email aspects, the contact aspects of it can be integrated as well. OneDrive is another integration. So if you'd rather use that for your document storage, you can just set it up so that the OneDrive folder for that particular matter is linked to this matter instead of using Clio storage. So it's completely up to you and configurable based on your workflows and what's easier for your firm.
All right, so another question from the audience. When you integrate a partner or you integrate another app, is that integration specific to that one user, or is it integrated for the entire firm automatically?
So it's on a user by user basis. So each user would need to do their own integrations for, like, say, for their calendar, for their email. It would have to be integrated on a user by user basis.
Excellent. All right, so the next question is a little bit Fastcase, a little bit Clio. So I'll start and answer the Fastcase part, and then I'll let Nefra step in for the Clio part. So the question was for states that have a bar benefit, so states like Florida, New York, Virginia, or any of our other many bar partners, can you integrate your bar access with a Clio access, or is it only integratable for retail subscribers? Well, I'm very pleased to tell you that you can integrate any Fastcase account with your Clio. So if you have bar access, if you're joining us as a retail subscriber, you can integrate any Fastcase account with Clio. Just follow the same steps we mentioned before. You click on that Apps and Tools button in the top right-hand corner of the page, select Clio, and you're off to the races. Now, that being said, I know that Clio has a couple of different integration or deals or arrangements with bar associations. To my knowledge, there's no restrictions on what can be integrated, but if Nefra, please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, there are no restrictions on what can be integrated. Our boutique customers and higher have access to our third-party integrations, including built-in payments with LawPay. So we take care of that $20 a month subscription fee for LawPay, and you'd have access to be able to share your bills electronically. And any of our other integrations are available to you on the boutique level and higher, including Gmail, Office, QuickBooks Online, those kinds of integrations that are super important, as well as all of the hundreds of others as well. And we do have bar association discounts. So in all but a few of the 50 states, we have affinity relationships. That's what my program does, is managing those partnerships as well. So you'll get 10% off of your Clio Manage subscription for your firm, which is a really great savings. And it also gets you special access to us. So because of those partnerships, we're typically doing programs with those bar associations on a regular basis, whether it's a webinar or attending a conference. If you ever wanted to get some one-on-one time with us, your associations are likely doing something with us as well, so that you can get the kind of help you need.
Sounds great. Okay, so we have another question about the client portal. Not a surprise, it sounds like a fantastic feature. The question is, when you share a document to a client portal, can the client modify or delete that document, or is the control as to the document remain with the person who shared it to the folder?
It remains with the person that shares it to the folder. So your client would be able to upload their documents into the portal as well. But if you terminate a relationship with a client and want to wrap up the access to that portal, you can send them a notification that after a certain number of days, this is going to be deleted. So if they'd like to download any of these documents, they have a certain window in order to do that. But yeah, the control of that portal and what's in there lies with the firm.
Perfect. Okay, let's see. We have a couple of more questions. There's always a ton of questions. So one of the questions was regarding practice management tab. Can you discuss a little bit about how that practice management tab works, what it controls, what it offers for somebody who's using Clio?
The practice management tab.
Yes.
That one I don't know where that one is. If they can clarify what the practice management tab is, let me know. Yeah, I would love some clarity on that question. I'd love to be able to dive into whatever that is.
No problem, no problem. So while we're waiting to see if we get a response for that one, let me ask one of my questions of my own. So let's say that you are a small firm, 1 to 10 attorneys involved. What are some of the features that you would recommend that a small firm like that look for in Clio? What should they be their first priority to set up in Clio? What are the most important features, or what would you say are the most essential features that would allow a small firm to get more benefit out of Clio?
For sure. I think the collaboration aspects are really key. But for any firm starting out with Clio, always advise to get your contacts, your matters, and your calendar up to date as soon as possible. So the contact part can be really easy if you've already got your contacts saved either in a previous practice management software or in a system like Outlook or in your Google. It's easy to get those contacts into Clio and then setting up your matters. So I always start with the matters that you're actively working on. You can later use Clio to archive some of the closed matters that you have that you want to be able to add in for conflict checking. But getting those contacts in there and all of them is really great, because then you're able to use the search features in Clio to be able to get those conflict checks done at the beginning of a matter. And then you want to start with the time and billing. Being able to add time and expenses and get bills out is the first way that people typically realize value from Clio, just because it streamlines the process for you. From our billing screen, you're able to see all of the bills that are in draft, ones that are pending approval. So if you have an approval process for bills, so you run bills based on the attorney that worked on them or firm-wide, you're able to get those bills into draft and then into an approval phase. Once the bills are approved, you can send them out directly using Clio and have them paid by credit card using Clio payments. A lot of our firms also see a lot of value in having that done, because you're not printing out bills, you're not stuffing envelopes, you're not having to travel to the post office or get that pickup done in order to get bills out, which is a delayed process, and then waiting for those paper checks to come in. With Clio payments, once the bill is sent out, the client can open it up via their email or using their mobile device and click a button to be able to fill in their credit card information to pay one bill or multiple bills on multiple matters, which is really great. So I definitely say contacts, matters, calendar, time and billing. Those are the key features to get up and running. And then from there, you're able to see some benefits with creating documents. So within Clio, you're able to create custom fields for each matter, and those custom fields can then be used to fill in document templates. The document templates are also really helpful because you can generate documents that are ready for signatures, like, for example, your engagement letters, and then use our built-in signing feature to be able to get those documents signed electronically without having to get that wet signature, if that's something that's available in your state as a binding signature. So it's fairly simple to do. I actually have a window up here that has maybe like a HIPAA release form that you can get an electronic signature on. You can send this out to the client, have them fill in the appropriate text fields, attach their signature, and once that's back, it's saved right back into Clio, and you're ready to send that out with your letter of representation. So it's these kind of time-saving things where law firms are seeing tons of efficiency, being able to be a little bit more agile and paperless in this environment. That's where people are seeing a lot of value.
I see a lot of value in it too. So it sounds like there's a lot of things that can be set up, first when you come into the Clio program, a lot of things that can be set up as you move and expand your interest in Clio. Also sounds like there's some learning to go along with it. If you are new to Clio, or if there's a new associate in your firm, or if you just simply want to get a brush up on Clio, what are some of the best ways besides today's webinar to answer some of those questions or to get some basic training on Clio?
Yeah, absolutely. So you go to support.clio.com. And we have it split out based on both of our products. So if you're a Clio Manage user, you can look at those resources. Clio Grow is a part of the Clio suite, and that takes care of that initial process, that intake process, and the client relationship management aspect. That can all be done through Clio Grow, and helps you take your intake forms electronic, helps you to add scheduling links to your website and accept payments for consults, all of that really great stuff. And when both of those things work together, you're eliminating a lot of double entry. And you get really great reports to be able to get a clear picture of what's happening in your firm. So to get up to speed on any of those, you can check out one of our training webinars. So we have a ton of webinars that we run every month, but we also have quick start onboarding. So we have 6 sessions on Clio Manage and 2 sessions on Clio Grow, and they can be taken at your convenience. We run them every single day. So you can send your new staff or enroll in them yourself to get up to speed on the product. The other great thing is Clio Academy. And that's the video library that I took you through, but there's also modules that you can go through. So it's bundled in maybe your role in the office. So if you are a new attorney starting in a firm, you can click on Clio Manage for attorneys, Clio Manage for paralegals and legal assistants, getting started in Clio Manage, getting started with Clio Grow, and they're bundled into courses that have various modules that take you through how to practically use Clio and adapt to your workflow. And then there's also quizzes at the end to kind of test your knowledge and make sure you know what you're doing. But various ways to get up to speed. We also have introductory webinars like our billing bootcamp, which again is one of the big ways that firms see value up front. So getting up to speed on all of our billing features is really great. And then you can always contact us. So we are open 24/5. Our support team is ready to assist you. So all you have to do is give us a call. And there's also a chat button built in to Clio so that you can get the help you need. You just click on help and start typing in your question, and it'll connect you to a representative in our chat or to a relevant support article to make you get unstuck in whatever you're trying to do.
Fantastic. Well, we have one more specific question, and then I'll see if we have any thoughts for maybe anyone who's just wanting to know more about Clio itself. So the final specific question we have is, what types of billing structures can you set up in the basic Clio account? Can you set up contingency fees or mixed flat and hourly fees? Are there any billing restrictions in the basic account or that get unlocked as you get to higher level accounts?
All of the levels of Clio have access to the various ways that you can set up billing in Clio. So whether it's contingency, flat fee, or hourly, you can set those up at the outset when you create a matter in any of the tiers of Clio that are available. The features that get unlocked as you get higher up in the tiers, billing wise, would be the access to the LawPay integration with Clio Payments, and that's boutique tier and up. And then being able to share those bills electronically is something else that gets unlocked as you get higher up in the tiers.
Fantastic. All right, so we must have been having fun because this period of time flew by without my even noticing. But do you have anything that we haven't mentioned or covered, or that you'd just like to say generally to people who are looking to streamline their practice and maybe get a little assistance in conducting their research in an efficient manner using Clio?
Yeah, I definitely say that in a time where we're, and excuse the construction noise that's happening, the perks of working from home, in a time where we're looking at what the future of law practice looks like, what reopening looks like, what consumers are going to be expecting from law offices, knowing now that firms can operate in this way and in a more accessible fashion in terms of video conferencing and emails and texting and all of those things, you want to be looking at solutions that are cloud-based that can allow you and your staff to work from anywhere. And so Clio is a really critical part of that. And if you're in a state where Fastcase is offered to you for free, it's an amazing way to be able to do the research that you need to do, capture it based on the matter that you're working on or the particular issue that you're working on, and save it to a central repository so that you always have access to that information in the context of that case. And so both of these solutions together are a really critical part of what the law firm of today is expected to do, and law firms in the future will really need to rely on in order to deliver the best client service and to be as efficient as possible. So all of these things together really save you time, but they also allow you to get a full picture of what it takes to bring a case to completion. So even if you're doing things on a flat fee basis, capturing the time that it takes to work on a particular matter will let you know over time whether what you're charging is actually profitable for your firm. If you work on a flat fee matter and you never track anything, how do you know what you're charging is actually fair? And it also creates a lot of transparency for your clients as well. Also, if there's ever a fee dispute, you always have a log of every single thing that you've done with the matter, every communication that you've had with the client. It's all in a central database. So it's very quick to piece that together or to create a report to contest anything that might come up, right? You never know. So it's a really great platform and is something that's so critical to law firms being able to continue to deliver a high level of client service.
Fantastic. Well, you have been a fantastic guest. I really want to thank you for joining us for today. And I'd like to thank everyone who's joined us for our webinar today. We are going to be having, of course, another webinar next week. Next week is our second episode of Leaders in Law. We'll be discussing justice and jurisprudence with Judge Thelton Henderson, who is the senior judge of the Ninth Circuit District Courts, the Northern California District Court specifically. It's going to be a fascinating discussion, so I hope everybody will join us next week for that session as well. So keep an eye out on your email for that session and for future sessions of our Work From Home Wednesday series. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending. And if you would like a copy of today's recording, we will be sending that information out to everyone who registered, so keep an eye on your email for that link to the materials. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a great afternoon.